Hello everyone, I hope you're well and thank you for sending your work on fractions yesterday. It was amazing to see how well you have done and also how much you remembered from our work all the way from the beginning of the year. So let's get started on our second lesson on equivalent fractions. Minimizing my face. And I'll put myself there, which is great. So today is the 30th of June, last day of June. And it's a Tuesday, and the LI today is to find equivalent fractions to 1/3. So yesterday we were finding equivalent fractions to one half, and today we're finding equivalent fractions to 1/3. You need a pencil, some paper to write on, a ruler, and if you can, an A4 sheet of paper would be really helpful. So number talk. In how many different ways can you halve an A4 sheet of paper? Have a good explore and see what different ways you can find. Don't be afraid to be creative. So if you've got the A4 sheet of paper in front of you, I want you to try and fold it to see in how many ways you can fold it in half. Just pause the video and see all the different ways that you can fold it or even cut it and make patterns to fold it in half. So here are some possible ways I've drawn out for you. That's probably the easiest way of showing you. So obviously the A4 piece of paper, you can fold it in half that way and it'd be half. So you have one half here, one half here. You can fold it this way, it's landscape, and that would be one half, and that would be one half. Also, I think some of you might have tried to fold it this way, which wouldn't have been a half. If you had cut it from here to here, then if you turn this the other way around, if it overlapped, you would have realized that it's actually equal to a half. And even this interesting way of doing it here, that's also dividing the A4 paper in half. So that's hopefully getting your brain thinking about fractions this morning. Right, so our key vocabulary today is amount, equivalent, 1/3, denominator, numerator, and fraction. So yesterday we looked at equivalent fractions of a half. So what do we mean by equivalent fractions? So equivalent fractions mean or occur when some fractions that are written with different numbers have the same value. In other words, a fraction can be written in many different ways, but they have the same value. So yesterday we were looking about how half is the same as 2/4, or half is the same as 3/6, or 6/12. Today we're looking at equivalent fractions to 1/3. So what do we see here? What's the same? What's different? Have a look, pause the video, and take in these 3 rectangles. Tell me what you see. So the first thing I think to notice is what's the same is that these rectangles are in total or are the same size, aren't they? The bigger rectangles are the same size. In this one, this rectangle is divided into 3 equal parts and 1 part's been shaded in. This rectangle has been divided into 6 equal parts and 2 parts are shaded in. And in this rectangle, the shape has been divided into 9 equal parts and 3 of them have been shaded. If you look at these rectangles and the shaded parts, actually it's equal. What's been shaded in is equal even though each rectangle is different. So how would we write these fractions out? This one would be 1/3. This one would be 2/6, 2/6, and this one would be 3/9. 1/3, 2/6, and 3/9 are equivalent fractions because even though we're using different numbers, they have the same value, as you can see from this diagram here. Right, so let's look at these bars here. What do you notice about the fraction? So take your time, look at these bars. What do you notice about the fraction? I think what would help is if for each bar you wrote down what the fraction is. So there behind the green rectangle, but write down which fraction each bar shows. Pause the video and have a go at that. Right, so this fraction shows 1/3 because there are 3 parts, 1 part is shaded. This fraction shows 2/6, 6 parts, 2 shaded in. This fraction shows 3/9. This fraction shows 4/12, 4/12, and this fraction here shows, oops, Daisy, 5/15. You can't see that very well, but 5/15. Now, all of these fractions here are equivalent fractions to a third, okay? Because if you forget, if this rectangle here was divided into 3 parts, this part here would be shaded in and it'd be the same as 1/3. What do you notice about the denominators here? What do you notice about denominators here? They have something in common. Do you notice what they have in common? They are all multiples of 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15 all appear in the 3 times table. And that brings me on to this. So 1/3, we have these numbers here. In order to find the equivalent fraction of a third, the denominator of each fraction has to be a multiple of 3. So what are the missing denominators here? Let me give you an example, okay? So here, the denominator would be 2, because the numerator is to be 2 times 3. The denominator here would be 6. What are the missing denominators here? Pause the video and have a go. So here, it's 3/9. Here, it's 4. 4 times 3 is 4/12. Here, 7 times 3 is 7/21. This, 6 times 3 is 6/18. And this, 5 times 3 is 5/15. And as you can see, they're all multiples of 3. Good job. So similar to yesterday, I want you to think about this shape over here and tell me how many boxes do we need to shade in to show an equivalent of 1/3. Remember, we count the boxes, we divide them by 3, and we work out how many boxes we shade in. So for this example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 boxes. To represent a 1/3, to be a third, we should divide 12 by 3, which is 4. Let's shade in 4 boxes. 1, 2, 3. Obviously, if you're shading it in, you're coloring completely, but it's a bit hard. 4. So this shape shows the equivalent fraction to 1/3, which is 4/12. Okay, because 4 out of 12 boxes have been shaded. Now I want you to try and shade in a third of this shape. So we count the boxes. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. To find out what a third of that is, we divide 6 by 3, which is 2. So we shade in 2. So, and the equivalent fraction to a third here is 2/6. There you go. Now I want you to try this one by yourself. Shade the following shape to show the equivalent fraction of 1/3 and then write the fraction next to it. So there are 18 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. To shade in 1/3, to shade in, oops, Daisy. Sorry, try that again. To shade in, oh, that's gone a bit, oh, sorry. To shade in this strip here, that would be 1/3. The equivalent fraction would be 6/18. So I've shaded 6 boxes out of 18. Now, okay. Now, try this. Shade the following shape to show an equivalent fraction to 1/3. and write the fraction next to it. So in this diagram, there are 15 boxes. To shade in 1/3, 15 divided by 3, to shade in 5. And so the equivalent fraction to a third would be 5 over 15. So hopefully with practice, you're finding this a bit easier. And let's see what's next. Danny is back. Okay, Danny was wrong yesterday, and let's hope he is right today. Daniel Dog says that this shape has the equivalent of 1/3 shape shaded. Do you agree with Danny or disagree with Danny? Give me the answer, and remember to always answer in full sentences. So let's look at this in more detail. Now you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 boxes here, and Danny has shaded in 3 boxes. Now 10 divided by 3, okay, is 3.33 reoccurring, and actually it's not a whole number. So this is wrong, because this would be correct if there were 9 boxes. But not correct if there are 10 boxes as they are. So 3 boxes out of 10. This shows what Danny's done, shows this fraction, and 3 over 10. Sorry about this. 3 over 10 is not an equivalent of a third, because number 10 here is not a multiple of 3. If it was 3 over 9, that would be equivalent of a third. So Danny, unfortunately, he is wrong again. That's twice this week. So now time has come for you to complete your tasks. Don't forget to take a picture of your task and email it to me at year3@grange.harrow.sch.uk. Your sheet can be found on the Grange website under the online learning tab under year 3, and this is what you will come up with. So the task 1 is to essentially do what we've been doing this lesson, which is shade a third of each shape. Look at how many squares are shaded, numerator, and the total amount of squares, denominator, and write the equivalent fraction underneath. Task 2 says, explain how this diagram shows both 2/3 and 4/6. So this diagram here does show those 2 fractions. I want you to explain why that's the case. Task 3 is asking you to match the diagram to the equivalent fraction. And finally, task 4 is asking you to fill in the missing numbers to write in the equivalent fractions. Good job. Let me go back to the smartboard, which is here. If you fancy a challenge because you just can't get enough of fractions, then here it is. So you can use your fraction strips from yesterday, the chart that we had, and it says using this image below, how many different ways can you find of writing half? I'm going to write a list next there. That'd be perfect. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Looking forward to receiving your work, and I will speak to you tomorrow with more maths. Take care. Bye-bye.